Thanks to Daisy, Cora, and Nora, this sleepy little town north of Denver has survived since 1901. And since '65, they've hosted racing at the Colorado National Speedway. Tonight, more history featuring the K&N Pro Series West. Watch where this goes. There's the 16 car. It qualified fastest today. There's the driver, Derek Kraus, and there's his 16-year-old teammate. Thanks, Haley Deegan. And there for the 16th year is car owner Bill McAnally introducing Cole Rouse to the crowd there. But this guy has been the hottest thing lately. Ryan Partridge, last win in the K&N Pro Series West. He'll try to take 2 in a row here tonight at the Napa Auto Parts 175 from the Colorado National Speedway. Brandon, 2 times that you ran here, you ran in the top 5. What is it about this place you expect to see tonight?
Well, I might have run in the top 5, Dave, but I know I struggled at this racetrack. It's really bumpy, really wore out, so I expect those tires to wear out as the race goes on, and I expect that there's going to be an experienced veteran at the front of the race at the end of the night.
You can see where these veterans come to from Denver, just a few miles north. How far can you throw?
Not very far.
It's a stone's throw from I-25. Here's how the points are so far in the West Series. Ryan Partridge, with that win last week, has taken the lead from teammate Derek Thorne.
Yeah, we're really seeing a huge change from last year's point stand. Is Bill McAnally Racing really dominating last year, and then Sunrise Ford, they've been getting those cars better week in and week out as the year has gone on.
Nice to welcome Heather DeBow back to the broadcast. Heather?
Thanks, Dave. Even though it's early on in the 2018 season here in the K&N West Series, one team has been establishing themselves as the team to beat, and that's that Broom Caddy team and those Sunrise Fords. All 3 of his drivers have finished in the top 10 so far this season, and better yet, his more experienced veteran drivers of Ryan Partridge and Derek Thorne have yet to finish outside the top 5. They're coming off of a 1-2 finish at Orange Show Speedway, and they're holding down the top 2 positions in the point standings. Their rookie driver, Trevor Huddleston, also is showing a good run so far in the Sunoco Rookie of the Year battle. Now, if you remember, in 2013, Derek Thorne won Broom Caddy his last championship, and Ryan Partridge was very close in 2015 and 2016 to getting that title, so this year might be their year. Also, when talking about tonight's race, only 2 drivers have won here at this track. I'll give you 2 guesses who they are. You got it, Ryan Partridge and Derek Thorne. They're looking to get yet another win here tonight.
1 victory each for Partridge and Thorne at Colorado National. And here's Thorne's triumph back in 2013. Started from the pole in that same 6 car, and he led all night. Had to work a lot of lap traffic, including the 5 of Dylan Hutchinson. Yeah, a little nerf there just to get him out of the way. But when I say he led a lot, there were only 2 cautions on the night. This is the second one. Michael Self getting a little help there in the 21 car. He goes around, but Brandon led 148 out of 150. It was a beatdown.
Well, I've talked about it all year, Dave. I mean, Derek Thorne is one of the best short-track racers in the entire country, and he's still been racing over the last couple of years. So to see him come back into this series, racing for Broom Caddy, him and his teammate Ryan Partridge both have wins at this racetrack, I expect to see them up front.
Heather DeBow is caught up with tonight's pole sitter. That's Derek Kraus.
Leading the field to green tonight and capturing his 3rd pole of the season is Derek Kraus. Derek, you've had a good season so far, but here you are at Colorado leading the field to green, but this track has a lot of character. Describe what the viewers are going to see tonight in tonight's race.
Yeah, the track's definitely different compared to every other track that we go to. It's 1 and 2, there's like a whoop section, really. I mean, it's really rough, and that's where you got to navigate through it, and you got to be able to have a good car to go through that really well.
Now, you have 1 start here last year. You finished 2nd. What takeaways did you learn that you're going to bring to tonight?
I feel like you're going to have to save a little bit of tire. Just with this newer tire, you don't have to save as much as you did last year, but I still feel like you're going to have to save a little bit. And my BMR guys brought me number 16, Napa Auto Parts Toyota Camry, a really great car, so that's a really good bonus of being with BMR, and really looking forward to the race.
That's Derek Kraus going for his 2nd win of the season.
And that pole was close, Brendan, right? 2 1,000ths over Derek Thorne.
The competition here tonight, I mean, it's really, really strong. So we're going to see tight racing all night long, but it's going to be important for these competitors to make sure that they save their tires with only having that 1 set for 175 laps.
There's the pit lane. They can get adjustments at halfway, but that's it. K&N Pro Series Racing on NBCSN is brought to you by K&N High Flow Air Filters and Air Intake Systems, because everyone loves that fast car smell. Cars have been fired for the K&N Pro Series at the Napa Auto Parts 175 from the Colorado National Speedway. Dave Burns, Brandon McReynolds, and Heather DeBow here with you, getting ready for 175 laps. That's 25 more than last year, Brandon.
Really long race, especially on one set of tires. 175 laps here is a really long time, but I'm going to look for who is the car that can be on the bottom of the racetrack working over all these bumps. Who should we be watching, Heather?
Well, guys, one driver I've been keeping my eye on all day is hometown favorite Cody Vander. He only lives 40 minutes from this track, and he has a ton of friends and family here supporting him tonight. When I spoke to him earlier, he said he has a lot of seat time, including 2 races tonight prior to running this K&N race. He said it gives him more experience than the other drivers in getting through the bumps in 2, which has been difficult for most guys. He rolls off third tonight and is hoping he can get his first win here in the K&N West Series at his home track.
Well, and Dave, Cody Vander, we watched him at Tucson Speedway wear this West Series field out, dominating both those races down there in Arizona. So look for him to have a strong run tonight.
If he could do it at home. And we mentioned qualifying earlier was tight, Brandon. Group qualifying really tends to bring the field together in terms of speed, doesn't it?
Absolutely, Dave. And we see Haley Deegan there with not as much as experience as some of the rest of the guys and gals in the field. So to be able to go out there and run 3 or 4 laps in that group-style qualifying is so much easier on an inexperienced driver just trying to get used to these race cars in that qualifying session.
Maybe a good look at what the racing will be like tonight. Derek Kraus in the blue and gold 16. He is the pole sitter. He leads in the green at Colorado National. Whoa, that was close to Thorne getting the jump that you cannot have at the start of these races, Brandon.
It's so tempting when you're starting there in second place and you have no one in front of you. You want to get out to that early lead, but a heads-up move by Derek Thorne to drop back, get in line, and go to work on the 16 car of Derek Kraus.
Yep, NASCAR nodding yes, that is a good start. You can't beat the leader to the line at the initial start. Now, if it happens that you fire off in the middle of the race on a restart and beat him to the line, that's okay, but not at the initial, and that was close. They sorted out now. Kraus establishing in the 16 was the fastest qualifier. Thorne taking a little bit of a look at that high groove and those bumps down through turn 2. Cole Rouse in the 99 trying to find a way under.
And what we've seen here in the past races in the last few years, we watched Chris Exton, who's a local here, really wear these guys out, run in the middle of turns 1 and 2, a lot like Derek Thorne and the 6 car is doing right now, and run the bottom of 3 and 4. So as this race shuffles out, it'll be really interesting to see what lanes these drivers choose to get their cars around the racetrack.
We already showed you Derek's 2013 win, and speculating that he probably kept a little bit of information from that race, and the bumps have not gotten any better. I'm sure he knows that, even here at lap 5.
He's doing a really nice job trying to keep the 16 of Derek Kraus pinned down on the bottom. Running that middle groove allows you to keep the right rear tire hooked up off the corner, especially off of turn 2, as the exit kind of tightens up and you see those big old waves in the racetrack, really upsetting these race cars.
Colorado definitely on the both ends of the spectrum weather-wise. Hot in the summer, and boy, does it get cold here in the winter. And that has an effect on the pavement.
And this is the toughest part of the race for young drivers, is trying to figure out how hard you want to be on those Goodyear tires, knowing that you got to go 175 laps through. All the crew chiefs and spotters are really on their drivers, telling them to take care of their equipment.
Of course, that halfway break coming around lap 88. NASCAR will throw the caution. They'll be able to come down pit road, keep their spots relative to each other. If you stay on the track, you get to move up. But coming down pit road, there's no race on pit road. But the fans will get a chance to see, new this year, the cars in the infield, which is kind of good for the show. They used to have to go behind and out back, and you never know what happened. But if you're in the stands tonight, you get to see the whole show, including whether or not someone decides to come down for adjustments at halfway.
And that break, Dave, it's going to be so important. With this racetrack being so wore out and it's being really hard on the 4 tires, as we've been talking about pretty much since the start of this race, it's really crucial for the crew chief to make the right adjustment and to come down to pit road, tune on that car. So I expect the majority of this field, especially the guys in the top 10, that they're going to be complaining about their race cars and want to come down and really pinpoint how to make those cars better.
Well, is that where experience is really going to play tonight? As you see the battle for the lead here, speaking of experience, Thorne is going to give it a go. Now really hard on the outside of Kraus. And he's going to get it. And Kraus may just be saying, okay, enough on my tires for now. So Thorne to the lead. Kraus is second. Then comes the 99 of Cole Rouse getting a challenge from Partridge. Heather?
When talking to Cole Rouse earlier today, he told me that he feels he will be really good with race run speed. He's currently running in the top 5 at this moment. But if you remember, that 99 car is the same car that Chris Eggleston won the last 3 out of 4 races here at Colorado National Speedway. Chris is also on hand helping the Bill McAnally drivers and giving them some advice since he knows this track so well. One thing he told Cole to work on was not to drive it in too hard and wear out the right rear.
That's a really good point, Heather. I know having Chris Eggleston as my teammate back here in 2015 was a huge help for me, but I think he might have just kept a little bit of that information to himself because
he won.
He was always running up front, and I didn't run too well here, Dave.
Oh, I think you ran pretty well. Couple of top 5s. Why not? Hey, they're all trying to catch Derek Thorne right now. And back at Colorado National Speedway for the Napa Auto Parts 175. The colors look the same, but the number's been flipped. While we were away, Ryan Partridge ate up his teammate Derek Thorne and took the lead. Here's how it happened. Bit of lap traffic on the bottom. A little bit of you're my teammate and the race is long. What do you think, Brandon?
That's definitely a heads-up move for Derek Thorne, just letting Ryan Partridge get that lead from him. You know, Derek Thorne, he's probably in a good spot right now as well as Ryan Partridge by being able to ride around, save his tires. They both have really good track position, so it's shaping up that Sunrise Ford, they're definitely dominating this race.
Yeah, there's Trevor Huddleston, the 22, the third member of that team, in 5th position, trying to chase down Cole Rouse. What's been the difference, Brandon? Because really this year when it started, I was expecting all Bill McAnally racing, and it kind of began that way. But suddenly, here comes Sunrise Ford, and they're on a roll.
Well, Dave, I spent a long time talking to Jeff Schrader this week just about where they've gotten their setups better, how they've made their cars better throughout the course of the year. And the biggest thing he applauds is Bob Bruncott's commitment to this series and his investment in the series. A lot like Bill McAnally Racing and Jeff Jefferson and Jerry Pitts. All these owners really put a lot of funding behind these race teams to see them be successful. But the biggest thing he spoke about that really hit home for me, being a little bit older of a guy as a young racer, is that experience level. Having Derek Thorne and Ryan Partridge come into this series and be able to help them tune on the race cars and get those couple extra tenths, that's invaluable. So I think that's why we're seeing the tides change just a little bit.
Yeah, when you compare their experience in racing and their age to the McAnally drivers, you've got in McAnally 2 16-year-olds and Cole Rouse, the old guy, at age 20. So there really is a disparity there, and I think it's having an impact.
Well, that's what's tough, Dave. I mean, Derek Kraus, he's a great young racer. He's won earlier this year at Bakersfield and has done a really nice job with that 16 car. They have a lot of experience over there in Ty Joyner and Eric Holmes, who's actually been spotting for Derek Kraus, but it's just tough to make that translate onto the racetrack. I think as Derek Kraus, you know, as the year goes on and he gets a little bit better and goes to these racetracks for a second time, I think we'll see Bill McAnally Racing close back up to the Sunrise Ford cars a little bit, if I had to guess, just by gaining more experience with their young drivers.
Coming up close to the halfway mark now, Brandon. What do you think? They don't get a chance to put fresh tires on their race cars. Does anyone give up this track position and come down pit road, or do they all hold their spot?
I would be shocked if these leaders, the top 10 especially, didn't come down pit road and pit. I mean, I think it's just so important with still so many laps left even after the break, and this track being so hard on your tires, the little bit that you can massage on that race car and the fine-tuning of it, the better off you're going to be in the end. So you don't want to be the guy that's sitting out there and everyone else pits behind you. That's just what I think is going to happen.
And as we mentioned, you get to hold your position. And, oh, by the way, it's a small field, so even if you did lose your position, there'd not be that many cars to make up, I guess.
And these cars, they can go the whole distance on fuel, so that's not the problem. But what a crew chief can do is he can top off with fuel, so to speak, just to help the balance of that car. So if you're a little bit tight right now in the late stages of this first run, you can add a little bit of fuel to the back of the car, giving that car some rear weight, which might help your forward drive, but also might help you turn the center of the corner. So you can use that fuel to your advantage as well, not only to just get to the end of the race.
How about experience here again, Brandon, knowing whether the feeling you're getting is just wear on your tires, or I need an adjustment.
That's where Chris Eggleston, I think, was so good at this racetrack. Just having that feel of, are all 4 tires on the car, are they sliding? And if they're sliding all together, how do I back up my corner entry to make sure I can still roll the middle of the corner and keep your lap time and your speed where you want it? That's one of the places I really struggled at this track, is just understanding that fine line of, is my handling completely going away, or is everyone else just, are we just on old tires? So watching Derek Thorne in the 6 right here, he's doing something that I learned at this racetrack, running left sides. Well, I say that and he goes back to the middle of the track. That's how it always works. But,
sure.
Running those left sides below almost on the apron, there's a lot of grip down there and you can create some speed. But I think he's trying to size up his teammate of Ryan Partridge right now by moving up to the middle.
Well, flagman right there shows the halfway mark. So we'll see that caution flag come out pretty quick here. Partridge in the 9, still leading. There it is. Over Thorne in the 6. The teammates will take this field to halfway. The pole sitter Kraus back to 3rd, and there you saw the 99 of Cole Rouse still riding along in the 4th position. And behind him, the 3rd Broom Caddy teammate, Trevor Huddleston, to finish up the top 5. Will they pit? Radio's going crazy right now. Drivers communicating with crew chiefs. What do we do? Here's what I'm feeling. Here's what I want. What do you suggest? We suggest you stick around, because when we come back, another half at Colorado National Speedway. Who makes the right call? Hot and sunny race weekend at Colorado National Speedway. The teams had a test day on Friday. Then all day today, it's been about getting ready for the race. Practice, qualifying, and then Derek Kraus starting on the pole in the 16. But he would be passed by Derek Thorne in the 6, former winner at this track, who would then be passed by the 9, his teammate Ryan Partridge, former winner at this track. And that took us to the halfway break to see if anyone would come down pit road and make adjustments, and they all did. Except Devin Dodson in the black 27. Brandon, he stayed out, and he's the leader.
I think this move by Jerry Pitts, his crew chief, is probably just to get a little bit of track position. So we'll see how much these Sunrise first, how much they tune on their race cars, and if they can get that lead back from Devin Dodson in the 27.
The 19-year-old from Maryland, he'll get a chance to lead the field to green here in Colorado. Oh, and he goes a little bit wide there, gets into Partridge, but they figure it out.
Devin Dodson really pushing that car down to the bottom. He knows right now how good these top 3 cars that are racing around him are, trying to keep that track position and really pushing hard on the bottom on this restart.
They were good and hopefully got better with adjustments when they came down pit road. Dodson really just getting seat time. He's only been in the series for 3 races so far, and did not get any adjustments, Brandon. So, it's a little bit tough on him, I think.
I can't hate on Jerry Pitts for making that move. I think that was a really good move, just trying to get that young driver some experience, let him see the front of the field. Maybe he can get around these top 4 or top 5 cars and pick up that pace a little bit. This is a really tough short track, and not coming here and racing here a lot is really tough. So let's see how this move pays off for him. I mean, he's moving backwards right now, but it still might be a gain at the end of the race.
He is discovering what the second groove is all about, because everyone else is using the bottom line to pass him. So at least he's figuring out what the grip level is up there. There's Dodson in the black 27. Again, stayed out, should have plenty of fuel to get to the end of the race, but did not get any adjustments. And you'd have to say, Brandon, at the very least, he was at least happy with his race car. Otherwise, he'd have been charging down pit road.
Absolutely, yeah. He must have a really good handle on it, and just trying to, like I said, just try to get that little bit of track position and see if it works out. But unfortunately, he just keeps losing spot after spot right here. And we just watched Haley Deegan, who's had a really great night, drive right on around him. So we'll see how it pays off.
Heather's got more on the driver of the orange and blue 22, Trevor Huddleston.
Just before the break, Trevor Huddleston's crew chief came over the radio and told him, buddy, you're doing a great job. And if you're just riding right here, you're going to be money in the second half. He's currently running in the top 5 and just trying to learn as much as he can. He told me earlier his focus for this season, and most important, is just to bring the car home and finish every race so he can go to the next one. His goal is also to get more top 5 finishes. He's looking good so far.
Trevor just had a birthday. He turned, wait for it, 22. So I don't know if he's going to change his car number next year, but Trevor from California was runner-up for the NASCAR Wheel and All-American Series national title last year, running at the Irwindale Speedway. So he's got a lot of experience on the short tracks, cutting his teeth now in K&N.
In Irwindale, it's one of those tracks, even though it doesn't have the bumps that Colorado National has at this racetrack, but it's still wore out too. So I know Trevor Huddleston's a great young driver. His dad, Tim Huddleston, has a lot of experience, works with a lot of young and up-and-coming racers, has worked with Cole Custer, who's in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. So these guys know what they're doing. They're good short-track racers, and Trevor's doing an unbelievable job tonight, racing up in the top 5 with his Sunrise Ford.
Here goes Haley. Haley is going to get 5th position from teammate Cole Rouse. Haley beat the boys last week, too, at Memphis, right? You saw that race.
That's big.
Now, they didn't finish well,
right,
but she outpaced her teammates.
Every single week, it's like we can do these races, and she just keeps getting better and better, not trying to get too much out of her car, but just taking it what it gives her. And that's huge for a young driver, to go out there and just be consistent and work on her racecraft and get the seat time that she needs. Doing a really nice job, and who knows, she might be able to squeak out a win here later in the year.
Ryan Partridge, the driver of the 9 car, what a story. Missed the entire season last year, came back this season for Bob Caddy, completed the deal last race at the Orange Show Speedway going to Victory Lane, and he's hungry for more.
Ryan Partridge really running a smart race right here. I know Derek Kraus, what it looks like, he's just pushing Ryan Partridge, trying to get him to burn his tires up a little bit, but Derek's just got to be smart right here and make sure not over-abuse that right front tire, over-abuse his right rear. But as I mentioned earlier in the race, he's got a lot of experience, and Eric Holmes spotting for him tonight, so I'm sure Eric's really keeping his thumb on that young driver, making sure he doesn't wear out his equipment.
Holmes, a former winner here as well for Bill McAnally. We mentioned McAnally at the beginning of the show being here for all 16. Bill raced in the first 2 that were at this track, but he's been to every one, both as a driver and a car owner. Has 3 wins with Eggleston, a couple with Holmes. Would like to get another one here tonight with young Derek Kraus. They can just coach him there and find a little bit of speed at the end of this 175 lapper.
And on these corner exits, Dave, what we're seeing, that 9 car, he's able to just launch a little bit lower. He gets a little bit wide right there off of turn 4, but I've been watching his car the last few laps, and he's able to exit just a little bit lower than the 16 to Derek Kraus, especially right there off of turn 2. Gap in the 16 to Derek Kraus just every so slightly.
And so where's the value there? Is he just getting the bite off the corner by doing that, or the straight line? That's
right, Dave. He's just trying to get the wheels straightened out on corner exit, make sure that both rear tires are pointed straight up off the corner. On a really abrasive racetrack, and especially with all these bumps, it's really important to keep all 4 tires lined up, pointed straight, driving forward with the throttle down.
Continuing to work the lap traffic here. That's the 08 of veteran John Wood, car owner who has several cars in the race tonight. And taking a turn behind the wheel here. In fact, one of his drivers, Jesse Iwuji, is not here this weekend. Jesse earlier today raced at Michigan in the ARCA series. Unfortunately had some mechanical issues that left him with a less than desirable finish, but Jesse will be back. Leaders are coming up on the car he normally drives. That's Cassie Gannis in the blue and white 36. Heather with more on the 2nd place driver, the 16 of Kraus.
The last few laps, I've been listening to the team communication with the number 16 of Derek Kraus, and they've been telling him, do not overdrive the car. Remember, smooth is fast, and you have to hit your marks. When I spoke to Derek earlier today, he told me one thing he has been working on is just being patient and waiting to get on the gas here at these shorter tracks. So, Brandon, it's got to be difficult as a driver to not want to chase the leader and save your stuff at the same time, right?
Oh, it's one of the most frustrating things in racing, Heather, just trying to get the track position. You want to be the leader. You want to win all these races, especially when you're young and fired up. Coming into a new opportunity. It's his first year in the 16 Napa car. They've racked up some wins over the last couple years with Todd Gillen, and I'll mention myself. So it's got to be tough for the young driver, but he has the right group around him, and he's just got to be smart here. I've been watching him kind of drive that corner a little too deep, getting a little sideways in the middle of the groove, but hopefully they can keep him calm down and keep him pointing the right direction.
He is the meat in a Sunrise Ford sandwich right now. And it has Ryan Partridge in the lead, Derek Thorne in 3rd, and Trevor Huddleston still in 4th, trying to make his way up to what would it mean to Bob Caddy if he could pull out a 1-2-3? I'm not sure it's ever happened for him. All they have to do is get rid of the 16, which will be a tall order.
Oh, it'd be huge.
Oh, look out behind them. Takuma Koga spinning out of turn 4. That brings out the caution. We talked about the lap traffic the leaders were working through. Koga was a part of that mix, and there his 11 car sits. Not sure how far back in the field. I saw Cassie Gannis trying to race with Takuma, but I'm not sure who the next car was. See if Takuma can get it fired. He does. Here's a look at it, Brandon. Top of your screen.
Looks like Cole Rouse there battling these lap cars. I know he had been really aggravated. He's starting to lose a little bit of track position. Looks like he just got in the back of the 11 of Takuma Koga there. As a race car driver getting in late stages of this race, that's really frustrating when those two lap cars get side by side.
Yeah.
Just
getting around one is one thing, but when they're blocking the whole track.
Yeah, absolutely. And the lap cars, they normally do a good job of staying on the bottom, but just one of those situations where they were lined up side by side in front of Cole Rouse, and sure he felt like he had nowhere to go and took some evasive action there.
Cassie and Takuma discussing their relative positions there at the back of the field, and the safety crews making sure the track is ready for racing again. And those two cars there will resume their fight. The 9 of Partridge still leads over the 16 of Kraus, with the 6 of Thorne, another former winner here right behind them. It's winding down in Colorado. Back at Colorado National Speedway, the 5th of now 13 races in the 2018 season for the West Series drivers. Spokane was canceled early this week, unfortunately. So they'll fight it out for 13 with Partridge on the point in the 9 car. Kraus with a good restart, hanging tough on the outside. Well, look at that behind him, 3 wide.
Racing really hard behind the leaders right here, and Derek Kraus has to push his car really hard to make sure and keep that second position, but Derek Thorne's really rolling the bottom of the corner really strong right now.
Under 50 to go at this 3/8 mile flat, relatively flat oval. That's not a lot of time. You can see the wheel moving back and forth. Haley fighting for control of the 19, getting a good drive through the center of the corner, and then off as Huddleston battles back on the outside.
Yeah, Haley Deegan just couldn't get that forward drive up off the corner. She's up off the very bottom right there just a little bit, which can make the back of that car a little snappy loose on exit, making it hard to keep that right rear tire hooked up. But Trevor Huddleston doing a really nice job keeping her pinned down on the bottom.
Up front, Partridge, a lot of pressure from his teammate. As this battle continues, that's got to be an interesting stalking, Brandon, with Thorne running down Partridge. They both know what equipment they have. They both know and respect the experience level they've got.
Both these cars back to the racetrack in the following weeks to come. They can't go out there and tear up their equipment. These two guys are going to duke it out the rest of these laps with just under 50 to go, but they're going to be smart and be respectful of each other, I would really think, here in the closing laps of the race.
Before the last race at Orange Show, the championship leader was Derek Thorne in the 6. Partridge won the race. He leapfrogged his teammate. Partridge now holds the top spot in the championship run. We'll see how tonight finishes out. They're 1-2 right now.
This is that point of the race, too, where we're going to see who is saving more tires, who is taking care of their 4 tires a little bit more than the next driver. Ryan Partridge has been leading a lot of this race. Derek Thorne, he's kind of pressure on Ryan Partridge here in the late going.
And Huddleston is settled 4th for now. Deegan falls back to 5th in the 19. One of 2 female drivers in the field tonight. Vanessa Robinson also running this race tonight. But Haley's doing a good job right now in the top 5.
And Trevor Huddleston, he might have something to say before the end of this race to go up there and possibly battle his teammates for the win. Watching his car, he's able to arc the corner almost more than anyone, still get down to the bottom and create really good forward drive leaving the corner.
Thorne's going to put the nose of the 6 ahead.
And there it is, Derek Thorne hooking that apron. We've seen him do it a few times tonight. Just trying to roll up inch by inch on his teammate Ryan Partridge, just trying to get that track position. Really strong move for Derek Thorne right here. I wouldn't be surprised to see him really check out on this field right now. I mean, he must have been just really taking care of his tires and being smart with his equipment, and it's really paying off for him right now.
Partridge and the others, they have a little time, but it is winding down. Hot day here north of Denver. A cool evening now. The last race of the night for the fans. They've had the local show here as well, but this is the culmination of their ticket today. They're seeing a good one. Kraus was the pole sitter in the 16, had the fastest qualifying time, but it was really close.
Trevor Huddleston in the 22 car really inching in on the 16 to Derek Kraus. Overdrove turns 1 and 2 a little bit too much last time. Got a little sideways and up that racetrack. But I think if he can just stay calm and keep his tires hooked up, he'll be able to march down Derek Kraus in the 16 again and get by him for that 3rd position.
Now lap traffic. Very important near the end of the race here. You don't want to lose whatever advantage you might have, whether you're pursuing someone or trying to hold somebody off. Where do you want to catch a car here, Brandon? Best case scenario that's being lapped.
You're hoping that you just catch him probably getting into the corner or just off of a corner, somewhere on the straightaway, just so you don't have to. Yeah, I mean, that's okay in turns 1 and 2 because the middle groove works a little bit better than in turns 3 and 4, but you really hope you just catch them on the straightaway and that they kind of yield to you and back off. That way you can get down to the bottom where your car is happy and where you want to run in the center of the corner.
That's Rudy Vander Waal in the 34, father of Cody, who runs 7th in the 43 car. And they both raced here earlier tonight in their pro trucks. Put on a show for the local fans. Have not fared as well as they wanted to in K&N, though. We mentioned Cody, former winner at Tucson, swept the doubleheader there, but has not had the 43 car hooked up tonight like he had it that night.
I think at this point in the race, Dave, what Ryan Partridge should be doing is the 6 of Derek Thorne's kind of walking away from him a little bit, putting some distance in between those 2 cars. I think he should go back into tire conservation mode just in case he does get that late race caution so he can have something to battle for the win.
You just never know. Derek Thorne has the lead now, but his teammate and others are right behind him.
16 Napa Auto Parts Toyota Camry for Bill McAnally Racing. I started racing when I was 7 years old in go-karts, and I keep progressing my way up. The K&N series is a great learning experience for young drivers like me to progress up the ranks. With the K&N cars being heavier and what the Super Late model is, it's a lot different. You got to drive them a lot different. You got to lift earlier going into the corners than what you do in the Super Late models, and you got to be easier on the gas pedal. Some of the things I want to do in my second full season at Bill McAnally Racing is win more races and hopefully go for that championship. I think we got a great crew behind me, and I think I can do it. I'm Derek Kraus, and that's your NASCAR Next Gen Profile.
Dave, Derek Kraus, he's definitely one of the most talented young men in the field. We've watched him week in and week out have a lot of speed. But one of the things I think he's having to get used to over there at Bill McAnally Racing is not only is he in a new car, in the 16 Napa Toyota car, but he's also working with basically half of a new team. Todd Gillen, when he left that ride at the end of last year to go on into the NASCAR K&N World Truck Series, it wasn't just the driver leaving, it was also his dad, David Gillen, who has a lot of experience as a crew chief in this division and as a driver. Also Chris Lawson, who works over at David Gillen Racing. A lot of really smart people that have worked there have also left. So that's been a tough transition for Bill McAnally Racing this year, but still getting some speed out of those cars, and Derek Kraus still battling in the top 5 tonight.
Kraus was 3rd in the championship last year in his rookie season. Hoping for more this year. Got to get around those Sunrise Ford guys up front. This back in 8th, 9th, and 10th has been interesting. Vanessa Robinson battling Cody Vander Waal in the 43. Vanessa's in the 55. And her teammate, Devin Dodson, now pursuing her in the 27. Remember, Devin stayed out at the halfway break, did not make any adjustments to his race car, and has stayed in the top 10, but gave up those positions.
Devin Dodson definitely doing a nice job tonight, still battling the top 10, as you mentioned. And what's really cool for Vanessa Robinson, too, I talked to her crew chief, Jeff Jefferson, the other day. They just put this deal together for her to come run this race just a few days ago. So both Jefferson Pitts racing cars up in the top 10, having a really strong run, especially for being really new to this series and not a lot of laps in these race cars.
Now they're seeing in their rearview mirror now that familiar tonight blue and orange combination, whether it's been Ryan Partridge at the front or now the 6 of Derek Thorne. And Thorne is going to try to put him a lap down. How hard do they fight here, right, with just under 10 laps to go?
They're going to be battling really hard, and I'm sure both the owners of those two race cars, Jefferson and Jerry Pitts, they're up there going, just take care of those race cars. Yep. That's what's important. And so that's definitely a tough position to be in, but both of those drivers are really hungry, trying to stay inside the top 10.
10 laps to go now for Derek Thorne, and he's got quite a gap built up between himself and second place, his teammate. So as you sort of speculated he'd do, Brandon, once he got hooked up and by Partridge, he's really taken off.
Yeah, absolutely. At this point in the race, he's just got to be smart, hope that none of these lap cars or people that he's trying to lap, get in the way or cause any issues in front of him. Just keep all four fenders on the car, be easy on his tires just in case he gets that late race caution. That way he can fire off and still have that speed that he's had in the 6 car tonight.
And I asked you at the beginning, do you think he remembered anything from 2013 when he led all but 2 laps? I think he kept a notebook.
Absolutely. Derek Thorne, I can't, compliment him enough. I've had the pleasure of racing against him in the NASCAR K&N West Series. Really smart racer, keeps a really strong notebook, really thinks about his race cars. Reminds me a lot of a guy like David Mayhew that I've raced against with quite a bit. But, he's definitely experienced, and he's definitely done his homework and probably watched some film on this race, and it's really paying off for him.
Derek is the 32-year-old from Lakeport, California, the 2013 champion in this series, has stayed behind the wheel and in late model racing throughout the West for the past few years, and this year re-signed with Bob Broom-Caddy to hopefully take him to a championship. And Bob's got it going twice on, and maybe a third time with Trevor Huddleston going for Rookie of the Year, but with Thorne in the 6 looking so good and Partridge in the 9, I'm not sure who's going to win this championship. The gap was only, I think, 2 or 3 points coming in.
It's definitely going to be a tough battle all the way to the end. And going back to Bill McAnally Racing, they're not done fighting. I know Ty Joyner and that whole crowd, they're going to keep working on those race cars, keeping their head to the ground, trying to get speed out of them, and they'll be there at the end. So definitely can't count that group out. But I know Bob Broom-Caddy, one of the things he really likes about Derek Thorne as well as Ryan Partridge is their willingness to work on their race cars. These guys don't just show up with a helmet. They know what they're doing, and I think that allows them to give their crew chiefs really good information and good feedback to make those cars faster and faster each week.
You saw Cody Vander there picking up a spot on Matt Levine, trying to right there, double wide in front of the leader. Levine to the high side in the 10. The 43 of Vander is not quite by. This is a little disconcerting with just 3 to go. If you're the leader.
I'm sure Bill Sedgwick, Derek Thorne's crew chief's like, hey, man, just be smart right here. Just take care of that race car. There's no need to push it. You have a big gap behind you. Derek Thorne, he's just got to get one more lap out of this thing and try to bring it on to the end.
2 to go for Thorne. They give way. The 13 of Todd Souza just in front, trying to stay on the lead lap. Doesn't know if that's, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Thorne gets a nice break from Souza there and will come to the white flag at Colorado National Speedway. North of Denver, he's been here before. He's seen Victory Lane before. He knows how to run the track. And in spite of everyone's best effort, Derek Thorne is going to come home the victor again at Colorado National Speedway. Reclaiming the championship lead, Derek Thorne wins in Colorado.
Dominating performance by Derek Thorne in the 6 Sunrise Ford, and his teammate Ryan Partridge coming home in 2nd. Really good run for that team.
There's a 22 of Huddleston in 3rd. There's the 1, 2, 3 for Broom-Caddy, and that's going to have owner Bob smiling all the way to the podium. His driver Derek Thorne in the 6 car, he led 85 laps, Brandon.
Absolutely, and we're not surprised, right? I mean, we've been talking about that experience level of Derek Thorne and his teammate Ryan Partridge definitely paying off in this race.
So Derek pulls it into the front stretch area. There will be a victory lane set up there where Heather will catch up with the most recent winner in the West Series. K&N Pro Series Racing on NBCSN is brought to you by K&N High Flow Air Filters and Air Intake Systems, because everyone loves that fast car smell. Crowd getting a chance to stand up after what has been an exciting night of racing at Colorado National Speedway. They'll open up the pits and have a chance to go talk to their drivers and get some autographs when this is all over. And I bet they'll want that one. Derek Thorne, victorious again at Colorado National, and Heather's catching up with him in victory lane.
Derek Thorne, your winner here at Colorado National Speedway. The last time you won in the K&N West Series was at this track, 2013. 5 years later, here you are in victory lane. Dominating performance by you, and also, hey, you didn't finish 2nd.
Hey, we've been a bridesmaid plenty of times this year. For Bob, looking behind me, these guys behind me, Bob, this whole team, to have a top 3, not just us as a win, but as a team itself. They've worked so hard the last couple of years, and they've got Partridge and myself and Huddleston in that car, and we were good all weekend. It's so hard to tell where everybody's at. Late in the race, everybody's saving, not saving, and we just happen to have a really good car, and I just can't thank these guys enough for all their hard work in the shop.
Over the radio, you thanked Bob for this opportunity. So speak to that a little bit more as why this is so special you'd be back with them fighting for another championship.
We've had a lot of history with these guys. Last time we raced with them, we won the championship. But there's just not any owners out there giving kids chances. To be able to give me a chance, Partridge, Huddleston, same with Byron Campbell at home. There's just not many team owners out there that give kids chances. And to be able to do this without Bob, I wouldn't be here racing this car tonight. So to them, thank you. And to him, he's keeping me racing, as is Byron Campbell. And I pinch myself sometimes for how lucky I am.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What a great moment for Derek Thorne and that whole entire team. Bob Broom, he's got to be super pumped up. Derek Thorne said it best, just Bob gave him an opportunity, and you don't see that very often anymore. And I know from experience because I was lucky enough to have Bill McAnally give me a shot a few years ago.
McAnally's cars finished 4th, 5th, and 6th with Kraus, Deegan, and Rouse. Cody Vander could only get to 7th, and Vanessa Robinson rounds out the top 10 for Jefferson Pitts Racing. Let's check in with the runner-up. He's with Heather.
Another top 5 finish tonight for Ryan Partridge. Ryan, earlier in the race, we heard you talking to your team about trying to test out the car for what you had. Do you think you would have done anything differently, maybe in the break, or do you think you saved enough, or did you need more?
You know what? It's tough because last night we were able to test a little bit here, but it wasn't nearly as cool as it became or as late in the day and late in the night, so we tested on a hot track. After the halfway break, I knew we needed to make some wholesale changes, but they weren't quite the type of changes that you can make at a halfway break. You're allowed a little wedge adjustment, some track bar, little stuff. I think we needed a rubber in the right rear, bigger right rear, something to help us late center off. But enough excuses. It was a great night for Sunrise Ford. Bob Broom, Marine Broom, obviously have a great stable of cars. Bill Sedgwick, the crew chief in the shop, obviously putting together some great cars. My personal crew chief, Jeff Schrader. The whole crew is a fun night of racing. It was nice to dice it up with some clean drivers. He was able to drive it a little bit deeper with the car still being stable, and he was able to cut it late center, get a nice straight drive off. So it felt like we were a little tight late center off. Anyways, it was a great night of racing, real fun. Got to thank the Lord Jesus Christ for giving me this opportunity, Bob, Marine Broom, and everybody involved.
That's Ryan Partridge coming home 2nd place tonight.
I know Ryan's definitely frustrated with that 2nd place finish, but as you mentioned, his car just wasn't handling. A little bit harder on those tires when you don't have the best handling in your race car.
2nd place tonight, back to 2nd place in the championship, but not by much. Look how tight it is, Brandon. 18 points back to 4th.
And we can't count out Derek Kraus, Cole Rouse, and who knows, Cody Vander, if he wins another race, he'll be right there.
Heather?
Rounding out a 1-2-3 finish for Sunrise Ford is Trevor Huddleston. Trevor, this is your best finish so far this season, first top 5. Over the radio, your team was encouraging during the race. Tell us a little bit about how it went for you and if you had anything left to catch your teammates.
Yeah, definitely. This Sunrise Ford Fusion was on rails tonight. The entire crew gave me a great car. We had a little bit left in us. I don't know, that late race caution, we might have been able to get my teammates, but I don't know. They were really good. Congrats to Derek. Congrats to Ryan. I just want to thank Bill, Bob, Clinton, my crew chief, my entire crew, and the entire Sunrise Ford crew, Ibach, Loose Oil, Justice Brothers, everybody. This was a really good car tonight, and really looking forward to Sonoma.
Now, talking about your teammates, they both have raced here before. What advice did they give you coming into this evening?
Oh, man, they gave me a lot of advice. They said key is getting through those bumps, and that really was key. I mean, these things are insane. I think I might have caught air a couple times, but our cars were rolling through those things like a Sunday drive. So they just told me to keep through the bumps and really roll through the center, which was key for passing here tonight because a lot of people were binding it up. So these cars were really rolling good, and really can't thank them enough.
That's Trevor Huddleston finishing 3rd tonight here at Colorado National Speedway.
I know Derek Thorne and Ryan Partridge are being good teammates by sharing information with the young driver Trevor Huddleston, but I think next time they might second-guess that because he was on their heels tonight.
Best finish of his young career in the K&N Series. Hey, they go road racing next in the West. Sonoma Raceway. That broadcast will be on June 28th. We'll show you highlights from what they do when they turn right as well as left. But tonight it was a typical oval for Hailie Deegan and the rest of the field as they raced the Colorado National Speedway for the 16th time in the K&N West Series. Kraus was on the pole in the 16 car, but late in the race it was all about the 6 and the 9 and the 22, the Sunrise Ford cars.
Absolutely. Sunrise Ford with a dominating performance. And these young drivers that are competing in this series, they better do their homework before Sonoma Raceway because that guy right there, Derek Thorne in the 6, he is no joke on a road course.
Yeah, you won't want to miss that when Thorne goes for 2 in a row.